Welcome to this edition of Ethical Sustainable Investment News and Analysis to Profit By. I'm Ron Robbins, an ethical investing pioneer for over 40 years, quoted in the Wall Street Journal, MarketWatch, the Globe and Mail, and numerous other media, and founder of the highly respected global ethical sustainable investing information website, Investing for the Soul. And please listen to my disclaimer statement at the end of this podcast. Now enjoy this podcast. Hello, Ron Robbins here. Welcome to this podcast episode 141, published November 1st, 2024, titled ESG Stocks Most Favored by Funds. It's presented by Investing for the Soul. Investingforthesoul.com is your site for vital global ethical and sustainable investing mentoring, news, commentary, information, and resources. Remember that you can find a full transcript and links to content, including stock symbols and bonus material, on this episode's podcast page at investingforthesoul.com/podcasts. Also, a reminder, I do not evaluate any of the stocks or funds mentioned in these podcasts, and I don't receive any compensation from anyone covered in these podcasts. Furthermore, I will reveal any investments I have in the investments mentioned herein. Additionally, quotes about individual companies are brief. Please go to this podcast webpage for links to the articles and more company and stock information. This episode will be shorter than normal as fewer articles were reviewed. I'm beginning this podcast with an article featuring an unusual stock analysis that will greatly interest most ethical and sustainable investors. It's titled, ESG Transition Funds Are an Emerging Trend. Here are the most overweight stocks by ESG funds. It's by Bank of America Securities Analysts and can be seen on MSN.com. Here are some quotes. Bank of America Securities Analysts named the stocks with the highest ESG funds weight relative to the S&P 500. Funds with the word transition in their name, including 134 EU funds, have attracted almost 2 times the inflows over the last 2 years compared to funds with green in their names, according to a recent ESMA, that's the European Securities and Markets Authority, Trends, Risks and Vulnerabilities report. These are the most overweight US stocks by ESG funds as of August 31st. Ball Corporation, ESG funds weight relative to the S&P 500, 15.01. Enphase Energy Inc., 6.8. Veralta Corp., 6.73. Verisk Analytics Inc., 5.62. Pentair plc, 5.62, Realty Income Corp, 5.29, First Solar Inc., 5.07, Agilent Technologies Inc., 5.0, Charter Communications Inc., 4.81, Xylem Inc., 4.8, Bio-Rad Laboratories Inc., 4.63, Citizens Financial Group Inc., 4.57, IDEX Corp., 4.24, Paramount Global, 4.13, West Pharmaceutical Services Inc., 4.12, AutoZone Inc., 4.11, Fortive Corp., 4.0, Cisco Corp., 3.99, Mohawk Industries Inc., 3.92, Generic Holdings Inc. 3.91, DR Horton Inc. 3.79, Aptiv plc 3.59, IDEX, that's IDEXX Laboratories Inc. 3.57, Pool Corp 3.56, and Ecolab Inc. 3.54. End quotes. This next article is titled OALC Christian Values ETF with high fees but solid fundamentals. It's by the Sunday Investor and seen on seekingalpha.com. Here are a few quotes from what is an extensive financial analysis. Investment thesis. The 1% Large Cap Core ETF is a Christian faith-based large cap fund offering an excellent combination of diversification, quality, growth, and value that should allow it to compete well with its target benchmark, the SPDR, that's SPDR S&P 500 ETF. While 1% Large Cap Core ETF's 0.49% net expense ratio, 0.86% before waivers, is quite high, and I will ask readers to consider this before initiating a position. Investment recommendation. The 1% Large Cap Core ETF is a solid single fund solution for faith-based investors. My fundamental analysis revealed virtually no deficiencies in diversification, risk, growth, value, and quality, and unlike the Global X S&P 500 Catholic Values ETF, its composition differs enough from the S&P 500 index, indicating that its screening process likely better reflects the values of its target audience. However, I encourage readers to consider the possibility that, with some creativity, they could achieve better returns and better alignment with their values by combining X-sector ETFs and individual stock purchases, then using the cost savings to support specific causes in their local communities directly. I think this solution is more prudent, so as a result, I've assigned the 1% Large Cap Core ETF a solid hold rating. End quotes. One additional article link titled The Best ESG Funds for Australians by Forbes Advisor Australia by Patrick McGimpsey, Johanna Leggett, and Shani Jayaman. Incidentally, I looked at this article and I think there might be people from other countries that could be interested in some of the suggestions. So these are my top news stories with their stock and fund tips for this podcast, ESG Stocks Most Favored by Funds. Please click the like and subscribe buttons wherever you download or listen to this podcast. That helps bring these podcasts to others like you. And please click the share buttons to share this podcast with your friends and family. Let's promote ethical and sustainable investing as a force for hope and prosperity in these troubled times. Contact me if you have any questions. Thank you for listening. Now my next podcast will be November 15th. I'll talk to you then. Bye for now. Learn how to create a simple portfolio reflecting your personal values by taking my 1-hour tutorial. Go to investingforthesoul.com/podcasts and click the link in the right-hand column for my DIY Ethical Sustainable Investing Pays tutorial. Now, I'll mention in the podcast if I have any direct interest or holdings in companies or securities I'm talking about. Furthermore, any news, opinions, analysis, or other information offered by myself, as well as references and information to or from other external sources in this podcast, is provided as general market information and should not be relied upon and thus does not constitute investment advice. Investors should consult their own licensed investment professional before making investments. Also, I will not accept liability for any loss or damage, including without limitation any loss of profit, which may arise directly or indirectly from use of or reliance on information in this podcast. Do contact me at ronr@investingforthesoul.com. Signing off, this is Ron Robbins.